everybody, to the Entrepreneurial CPA Show. Here to take a deep dive in knowledge you need to break free of the box and punch above your weight. As always, I'm Garrett Wagner, your Entrepreneurial CPA Channel co-host. And we're back with our special returning guest straight out of California for another round of debates. So Rafael Casas from Sage, welcome back. You ready to have some debate action today?
As always, it's always great to talk to you, my friend. I'm looking forward to our discussion today on some SBA, PPP, RPA, the pinnacle of acronyms.
Right, the pinnacle of acronyms. And we've been talking about this behind the scene, the PPP loans, payroll protection program loans. The SBA's come out and said, they don't want people using bots or RPAs, robotic process automation, to fill out and submit these applications, which it's an interesting stance. They're essentially saying, we want you to do everything manually. And it's a little bit of a fact of like, since they have no automation, why should we get a benefit and they suffer without us? Like you and I talked about, you can't always tell when an RPA is running. So let's dive into kind of step one, Rafael. Should companies be using RPAs to do things like submit loan applications to banks and other financial institutions?
Yeah, I would say that I think they should. I think that's just another form of technology that a lot of other enterprise companies have used for decades now. And I think it's something that they should leverage. And I don't think there was anything wrong with it ethically. And I think it's ironic from the article that came out with regards to this Treasury ban, quote, with regards to this, without RPAs, the loan processing system will be more reliable, accessible, and equitable for all small businesses. And the equitable part is something that, there's a lot of concern and a lot of discussion around that because no one, especially CPAs, really felt that this whole program was equitable. So my idea was, my stance was that RPA was just leveling the playing field for some of these smaller institutions to get these loans in, to get their E-Trans numbers, when all of the bigger banks were kind of maybe flooding this process. So, I just think they were doing the smart thing of leveraging that. And again, I'm not even sure, how these, from the SBA perspective or from Treasury perspective, they're using COBOL, from my understanding, which is extremely old. What mechanisms they were using, or how did they even figure out, or were they even tipped off that RPA was being used through these APIs? So, I didn't think they were even sophisticated enough to know that.
And I think too, when it comes back to, like you said, working smarter, not harder. And if I'm a successful company today, I'm already using bots or RPAs, and I'm using to automate repetitive tasks. And we've talked about that. If you want to be successful today, there's so much going on. You're so overwhelmed. So much of that stuff is minutia. If I can have a bot do it for me and frees me up to do more important things, that's amazing. That helps me be more successful. I think back to kind of, we talked last episode about libertarian capitalism. I kind of think back to Ron Swanson on Parks and Recreation, just being like, hey, it's a successful company. It's successful. So if another company goes out of business because they're not successful, that's the free market working. So like, hey, now is anyone going to try and penalize companies for being more efficient? And how is that equitable to say, well, Rafael, you're more efficient than me at these three tasks, so therefore I'm going to handicap you on these tasks?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any business ethics involved in that. There was, from my feeling behind this, from a Treasury standpoint, is that they're just really trying to save their own butts on a lot of the issues from them rolling out this with a lot of the guidelines being revised over and over again. And even another one just came out last night, like I think at 11:30 p.m. So, these reiterations of them trying to close the gaps on an already unsuccessful launch of this program, and RPA is just a byproduct. I think that's just there was nothing done wrong there. It was something that really allows for businesses to be more efficient, more effective, and allows them to, especially this being a perfect use case. Some of the guidelines on this, or most of the guidelines, are pretty rigid. So having a bot to do this was, a perfect use case for it to be successful. And it's great that some of these were so successful. But I think this is a good lesson where firms can look at, even a use case. That's how that could be a perfectly applicable use case to get them ahead of the curve and to do maybe move more into advisory where they may not have in the past. And I think that's just another added value to why this particular technology is important. And actually, yesterday in one of the sessions with in Salon, the accounting salon, Salon V, they had talked about advisory and value pricing, and that implementing RPA is an important component to your firm to move into more value pricing, because you're having the bots do all that legwork, and allows you to have more freedom to really work with your clients.
And like we talked about before with this, you're right. It allows you more legwork to work with your clients. And right now, during the COVID crisis, a lot of places are shut down. They're short-staffed. How do you get more work done with less resources? Especially something like the payroll loans where you're processing thousands or hundreds of thousands of them. Well, you have a bunch of bots that work 24/7 around the clock. And they're doing these 6 basic tasks of they're taking documents from here, put them in this order, cross-checking them, submitting them, or waiting for a human being to verify some steps and put it along. Like we talked about, there's different layers of bots that can be used in combination. This is a great chance where, hey, find a way to use a bot inside your business, inside your firm, your practice. There's at least one thing, we've talked about this, there's one thing you're doing today that's repetitive, manual, inefficient, and a waste of your skilled labor time. Let a bot start doing that for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny because you and I are actually doing for CPA Academy next week around the concept of clean your room. And there's actually a good example of that within Clean Your Room for an RPA, where Dr. Jordan Peterson really talks about when you're trying to find a name or find an area to clean your room, as it translates to your life or your business, what are the things you're doing all day long? They may be small in perception, but they're huge in what you do because repetitive tasks all day long. So, it's identifying, like you said, what are these small tasks and how do they lead up to a larger business process, a chain of business processes that I do in my business. So, if they're rigid and they have a specific rule set and you're using really kind of a Pareto principle to it, then that would be a good fit. So these are things that, this is just a great example of something that actually happened in a trying time to really accelerate your chances to get these loans out for your clients.
Yeah, and the moral of the story, like always, no matter what the solution is, work smarter, not harder. And that's how you're going to find a successful path forward, away from the compliance work, into the advisor work smarter, not harder for your clients, demonstrate your value, and just get started with a bot. Just one simple bot. There's a ton of options. There's a ton of vendors. And if you need some help, feel free to reach out to either Rafael or myself. We'll get you going on the right path. So Rafael, thank you for stopping by. Thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget, you can click to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we challenge you today to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.